friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about one of my all-time favorite brands, Fantasy Cosmetica. I've done a few of these comprehensive swatch videos. I know I did a lethal one, and I think I did a Cleona one as well. So today I want to catalog and swatch and compare every single one of my Fantasy Cosmetica eyeshadows. I plan on releasing this video around the time that the newest Monk palette is released. So if you're watching this very far into the future, then there may be some new palettes that have been released. But at the time that I'm filming, this is their latest release. And at this point in time, I have every single eyeshadow that they've ever released. So I can put this collection to good use, hopefully, by cataloging all of these eyeshadows. I'm going to swatch all the shadows in color groups instead of organized by palette. You can see each palette swatched in my individual review video, so I'll link those down in the description box if you want to see more about a particular palette. But today I'm going to be addressing all of the eyeshadows as individuals. So let's dig into my Fantasy Cosmetica eyeshadow collection and start playing with some shadows. The first thing I want to mention is that the day I'm posting this video, the Harvest of Souls palette, which was an instant hit, instant sellout, is going to have a limited restock. Organizing and editing this big old comprehensive swatch video has been quite time consuming, so hopefully the Harvest of Souls palette isn't sold out again by the time I actually get this thing uploaded. And the day that I post this video will be not only the Harvest of Souls restock, but the launch of the Monk collection. And personally, I'm not a big fan of the hurry up, get this now, FOMO type of mindset, which is exactly why I do reviews and rankings and comparisons the way that I do. However, I also want to give you a realistic view of this restock, and I do expect that Harvest of Souls will sell out again. They did say on the Fantasy Cosmetica site, this is not insider information, this was on the site, that this January restock is going to be a smaller restock, and they do plan on doing a larger one, likely in March, but there's no confirmed date for that. I have no insight as to if it will be restocked again beyond that, especially since it was intended to be a seasonal release for Halloween. My guess it will just depend on the demand, but I do think it's good to keep in mind that all of these brands have other projects that they have to devote their time and their money to, and they're sort of restricted by the availability of just if their labs are available, if their factories are available, if the raw materials they need are available, and also they have to import a lot of this stuff. So there's just a lot of factors. Anyway, if you decide to get Harvest of Souls, the new Monk stuff, or anything from Fantasy Cosmetica, you can use my affiliate code. It's just my first name, Amanda, and that will save you a little bit of money on your purchase. Now, what you're seeing in this video is every single eyeshadow that Fantasy Cosmetica has made thus far. I have triple and quadruple checked, so I am 99.9% certain that I have close-up shots of all 122 pans and their respective swatches. As you can see, all of the eyeshadow pans are magnetic and they can be removed from their palettes. I do have a video all about how I easily depot them in my Enchanted Autumn palette remix video. So I'm gonna link that in the description box for you if you are interested in more about that process. Please feel free to pause at any point here or take a screenshot any of the frames that you think will be helpful if you want some more time to look closely at these or sort out, which name goes to which. I tried to do them in smaller groups with this really bold font so that it would be easy to discern, but I do just request please not to use any of those screenshots for social media posts without asking me first anyway. Basically, this doesn't really apply to like 99% of people watching my content, but sometimes there are others who will use content like swatches, videos, images that took hours, or in the case of this video, literally days to make to promote their own channels or their own affiliate code. So they're basically trying to steal other people's work and make money off of it for themselves, which I just think is really not cool. But for the 99% of people who are watching this for really, truly your own reference, I highly, highly encourage you take screenshots, take notes, pause, ask questions, whatever's really going to help you make use of this reference. That's the whole point of me creating this. So if you ever see on my comparison swatch videos, I say, please don't post screenshots. That's why. Fantasy Cosmetica now has 8 9-pan palettes. These are the class palettes, so Bard, Druid, Fighter, Monk, that's the newest one, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. They have 2 12-pan palettes, which are Cradled in Ice and Enchanted Autumn. And there's one 16-pan palette, which is Harvest of Souls. They also have released 10 single shadows, so not within any palettes. 6 of those are from the Lost Library collection, and then 4 are the Dragon Egg holochromes from the Cradled in Ice collection. So that adds up to 122 individual eyeshadows. Like I said, I triple and quadruple checked to make sure that I have all 122 in this video, and for the most part, I just tried my best to sort them into color groups so that you can see all of the most similar and similar-ish shades together versus all broken up in their individual palette color stories. Many of their shadows from the palettes are available for sale individually, which I personally think is such a cool feature. It's very forward thinking, this sort of modular palette idea, and I really feel like it is customer centered. It's just one of the many reasons that I love the Fantasy Cosmetica brand. I am going to list which palette or collection each of these individual shadow shade comes from, but just keep in mind if you feel drawn towards one single color, you could most likely get that one on its own without having to spring for the entire palette. As far as the individual shadows for purchase go, matte shadows are $4.99 each. Shimmers are $9.99 each, and then the holographic multichromes are $14.99 each. The exception to that seems to be the Harvest of Souls palette singles. Those shimmers are $7.99 on the site. So there might be some outliers here or there, but just a reminder that I have a lot of other videos focused on the individual palettes or their collections with a whole lot more swatches. I have brush swatches, different lighting, eye looks, and all their other products too. They've made plenty of other products besides these beautiful eyeshadows. So make sure you check out those for more focused reviews if you think that will be helpful. And maybe I should just make a Fantasy Cosmetica brand playlist. I think I have enough videos at this point that would be worth putting on my to-do list today. One thing I noticed, especially while I was editing, not so much when I was focused on the task of making sure I had all the shadows included and trying to make these relevant color groups, but one thing that I've noticed, especially editing here, is that there really aren't that many shadows in this whole collection, the entire Fantasy Cosmetica library, that look like dupes or even just too close for comfort type of shades. Of course, among 122, there are going to be some. I mean, we're looking at these chartreuse shades right now, and it's it's undeniable that there are plenty of similar shades in this family, but not as many as I was expecting. I was really thinking, especially among the blues, that there would be a lot more similarities. So I'm happy that these color groups don't look like a whole bunch of dupe swatch comparisons, and they look more like monochromatic palettes to me, which I think is really interesting. I'm not really one for a fully monochromatic palette personally, but I also like doing things that are out of my comfort zone. And it's been a couple of years since the monochrome palette was really something that I was striving for. So I like that these color groups really do look like well curated and often really interesting little monochromatic palettes. Keep in mind that these shadows, you are seeing a finger swatch shadow with a studio lighting, a ring light, a camera. You're seeing it in this one type of studio lighting on one skin tone here. And these might look really different on you depending on most definitely your skin tone, if you are using a base for it or not, what type of lighting you're in. These are all factors that are worth thinking about when we're looking at color comparisons and swatches and things like that. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you are following or at least, consuming the content of a lot of different people when it comes to investing in purchases. Go and look at a lot of swatches. Make sure you see people doing, different skin tone swatches, different types of lighting. And I think you're going to make your best possible decision that way. And I just hope that my videos can be a part of that healthy choice making pattern for everyone out there. In the makeup world, in the beauty industry, really in any industry, the idea is to make a buck, right? And for somebody to make a buck, somebody else has to spend a buck. And I am part of this whole ecosystem too, right? Like, I'm not Saint just for fun or anything. Like, I've earned money from this whole circle. But the only way that I'm gonna feel good about that is if I am being honest, if I am providing value, which I hope that I'm doing, and if everybody is being responsible, like the person who's spending a buck has a buck to spend and feels like they got their buck's worth. So just take your time, is what I'm getting at here. Take your time, look at a lot of content, invest in things that you are going to use and enjoy and that are going to add value to your collection. You don't have to rush to FOMO and have every shiny, pretty thing that moment. I know, again, it's easy for me to say, like, I do have the shiny, pretty thing. I get that. I understand the irony of this conversation. But I'm just really hoping that everybody here can come out with either finding something that you love or maybe discovering that you don't necessarily need the thing that you thought you needed. I don't know. This got away from me. I feel like, hey, it's eyeshadow. And let me just run it back to something that was a little bit more enjoyable, which was the talk of creating a monochromatic palette. This is such a good monochromatic palette. I love the idea of this collection of shadows as a cool tone neutral palette. I absolutely love the undertones here with some purples, some cool tones. There's some shifty shades. There's a bright silver. Did I just create my perfect, cool, neutral eyeshadow palette by creating this swatch video? Maybe that's actually the best thing that came out of this. It's not me being this, quote unquote, helpful resource and source of encouragement. It's really this one individual cool tone neutral palette. Build your own. Use my code. Use code Amanda. Okay, that was a joke. Anyway, make good choices. I love all of your beautiful little faces so much. I hope that this video was informative, helpful, or just maybe fun and satisfying to watch. I love these types of swatching and organizing videos. It's very soothing to my brain to make it. So I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Let me know if you want to see this style of video featuring any other specific brands. I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Shadow palette that they what? My Donald Duck all of a sudden? It snowed here. I live in North Carolina. I live in not the mountains, and it snowed here. Not that much by my measure, it's not that much snow. Okay, I grew up in West Virginia. It snows a lot there, but it's a lot of snow for here, right? Like they don't have the infrastructure to handle snow removal, so that's why it's a big deal. But they canceled school for 3 days. 3 days. And I feel like the third day it was a little excessive. Honestly, I get it. I'm not one of those people that grew up in a really wintry place that like shames Southerners because they truly don't have the ability to handle the snow, right? Like people don't have shovels, they don't have salt, there aren't plows, like there aren't salt trucks here. Okay, they don't have them because they usually don't need them. So I get it. And I feel like the first day definitely should have been called off. Second day, okay, I understand. But the third day, it's crazy. Casually sweaty cheek. Oh, I'm not even wearing highlighter. I'm just wearing tinted moisturizer and a little cream blush, a little liquid blush. That's it. That's it. Well, and I'm wearing concealer under my eyes, but wait, huh? I forget where I was going with that. What brand should I do next? I'm trying to do ones that have like single shadows and not necessarily palettes. Although I know these come in palettes, but they're all magnetic. And some of their palettes they sell as singles too. I should swatch all of my ColourPop single shadows. I have a lot of them. A lot, a lot, a lot. That would be a huge project. Being a content creator is so weird. I'm just like in my little room swatching my little eyeshadows. Some complete stranger will say the worst thing you've ever heard to me. And I'm like, man, this is a Wendy's. Let me know if you want to see me do this. Okay. Okay. That didn't make sense. I clearly need to take a break because I cannot form a sentence. A little bit of caffeine, maybe a little snack, maybe a little spicy potato chip, and I'll be back on track. I just know it. That always sets me right. Thanks for watching. Love your face. Bye.